to Common Ground Conversation. I'm JoNeil Conley. I'm coach, hot mess officer, chief officer, beyond bullying, and have spent a lot of time on myself trying to get straight. And I'm willing to help you. And I want you to meet my friend Bonnie, who I have coached with Bonnie. Bonnie does a great job. She led me through some really difficult points in my relationship with my daughter and her ex-husband and all those kind of things. But Bonnie, tell us about you.
Oh, okay. So let's see. I've been doing mental health work for 40 plus years and was a clinical psychologist, still am a clinical psychologist, but I'm functioning more now as a coach. And mainly I did trauma work. I did back in the day when EMDR was brand new. That's
Mm,
when I was, it was the mid 80s when I was starting my
mhm.
work. So there was a lot of things we didn't know that we now know, especially in
Yeah.
terms of what works.
Mhm.
And one of the things you and I were talking about before we started the recording was talk therapy
Yeah.
and just how not far talk therapy takes people.
Mhm.
And what I said was, to me, talk therapy is how you process the work after you've done the energy work, and
Yeah.
talk therapy can help you kind of sort through what just happened,
Mhm.
kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I've gone through a million iterations, learned a ton of tools. The tool bag's pretty full. There's lots of things because what works for one person may not work for another. I don't like
Mhm.
this one size fits all. I have
Sure.
one technique and you all got to do that technique. Uh-uh.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
figuring out what works for an individual person. And like I said, I think this is a huge piece too. Human beings are complicated.
Mhm.
We will hit resistance when when I'm working with somebody and we hit resistance, I think to myself, aha, we're just about there,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
that's when you bump into the resistance.
And again, is that like our psyche trying to protect ourselves? Is that the resistance that we run up against?
Yes. So there's a part of us that tries to keep us safe, but it uses very childlike tools to keep us safe. Avoidance, so people don't come to sessions, yeah, buts, what
Yeah.
ifs, alienation, all the things. Um, but the thing about those tools is they don't work. They just
Mhm.
create more mess. Like you were saying, you're the chief officer.
A hot mess
It,
officer.
it yes, it just makes more mess. It
Yeah.
doesn't really clean up anything.
Yeah.
And I recall myself being in counseling, and because my trainers were of the belief that how can you work with someone on the other side of that couch unless you've sat there? You have no
Mm.
idea what it's like unless you've sat there. And
Mhm.
I'm good with that. I think that was
Yeah.
quite useful. So I feel like as a coach, it's my job to walk beside someone.
Yeah. Can we just have what was the transition from therapist to coach? What did that look like? And
Um,
why? And I guess as we're talking to our audiences, is there a time for one versus the other?
well, I will tell you why I made that transition, and given what's going on in our world right now, I think this was a prelude to that.
Mm. Okay.
I had been toying with the decision. I owned an outpatient mental health clinic. I had many therapists who worked under me. I did all the insurance, all the managed care, all the things, and was finding I was doing as much time on paperwork as I was
Mm.
on working with people. And then I had a call from someone who probably had no more than a bachelor's degree, who told me that I could have 3 sessions for someone who had
Oh,
been hideously traumatized in a
yeah.
stalking incident. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm done with this. I'm done with people who don't know what I'm doing telling me what I ought to be doing. So
Yeah.
I got Bucky and I quit doing outpatient mental health and I shifted to coaching.
And that was a insurance pay model. I mean, let's make sure people understand that was you the therapy
Right.
was all, insurance based.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so
I
then you
mean, there were people who didn't have insurance and they'd pay cash. That
sure.
happened too. But yes. And so when insurance is paying,
Mhm.
insurance thinks they can dictate.
Oh, and nursing as well, just my aside, I think the HCAP scores are from the devil. That's what hospitals base all their scores on, and someone who doesn't know what a nurse does is judging me. Like,
Right.
I got your
Yes.
medication just because I didn't bring you a peanut butter sandwich because I was feeling a cardiac arrest in the room next door. They ding ya, and then the hospital gets dinged, and I think we're all bass word on that.
And I'll lay right out there what my belief is. When you commodify
Yeah.
healthcare, when you make things cost money that really ought to be a common human right, all hell breaks loose.
As evidenced by all the things,
All the things. And I
all
mean,
the
and right
things.
now we're in this amazing time where many of those calcified old systems are breaking up.
Thank you, Jesus. So you decided to make the switch from therapist to coach. And
Yep.
what did that look like for you personally, professionally?
I asked the one of the women who was practicing out of my um outpatient mental health clinic if she would want to buy the clinic.
Oh,
And she did, so the clinic went away. And
mm,
I transitioned off of the insurance panels
oh,
and yep, and basically let all of my clients know I was going to a cash practice and it was going to be coaching, not psychotherapy. They really don't look all that different in my particular case.
well, and one of the and we want to help people who are listening who may not have had the opportunity to coach with anybody. That the coaching one of the negative people things people say about the coaching industry, it's unregulated.
Right.
People can go online and pay $10 and get a certificate. And that's not what you and I have done. We have spent
No, no.
hours upon hours upon hours of certifications and classes and all of
And
that.
what I would recommend is if you're looking for a coach, don't just look for a glitzy website. Find out what does that person have for education? What does that person have for degrees? What do they have for certifications?
Right.
And keep in mind also, certification can be one of those nebulous things where
Correct.
anybody can say, okay, now I'm certifying people for blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there are some organizations that are relatively well known in the field that if you have a certification from that organization, you're probably
Yeah.
you've done your due diligence.
Sure. And so again, you switched to coaching, and how did
Mhm.
that change how you interacted with people other than the transfer of money kind of thing? How did that change?
Well, quite a few of the people that I was already working with as as a psychologist did continue with me. Um, so what they found was nothing changed, other than we
Mm,
didn't have to mess around with insurance.
yeah.
On the other hand, new people, when they came in, after 40 years of doing this stuff, you get pretty good at picking out what's
Yeah.
going on with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I could scale back an intake
Mm,
significantly. I didn't
okay.
need to ask 8,000 questions about when were they potty trained, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I could get cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Ask
Yeah.
the important questions, keep it brief, and then immediately start teaching people. Okay, so the main thing we're working with here is anxiety. Let me teach you two tools that you can leave with today
Yeah.
that you can do for yourself to help with anxiety. Okay,
Mhm.
you're dealing with depression, you're dealing with trauma. Let me give you some tools the first day before you walk out the door.
Yeah. I was listening to another person on YouTube, and she was talking about her years of therapy. She said she was going 3 times a week, and they were getting right to the moment, and they'd go, "Oh, that's our time for today. We'll see you another time." That just when she was getting there, kind of a thing. And that I
And
think we try
human beings do that. They will often, I mean,
even
I can't tell you the number of times I had at the end of a session someone say, Oh, by the way, I had
Yeah.
my father's baby when I was 12,
Yeah. Yeah.
right at the end of the
Yeah.
session. It
Yeah.
makes sense. If you look at it from a psyche perspective, it makes sense. I'm going to drop this bomb and I'm going to get the hell out of here because I don't
Get
want to
that. Yeah.
deal with it.
Mhm. Question that just came to me. If someone's paying cash, are they
Mhm.
more committed than if insurance is paying? Just tossing that
That's
out there.
that's been my experience.
Well, I
And
kind of thought
yeah, because they've got more skin in the game.
the game.
Yeah.
And what kind of outcomes are you hoping for your clients?
Obviously different people are looking for different things, but um reduction in anxiety. When and I'll tell you one of my favorite stories. So I have this
Yeah,
lovely
please.
lovely tool that I use. There was one man who had gotten a new boss, and this new boss was really abusive in a work setting. So on his way to work every day, he'd have to stop along the highway, like 3 lanes each way, and throw up. He was that
Oh
upset
my.
about
Yeah.
going to work.
Yeah.
Everything was his hair was falling out. I mean, just awful. So we used this process, and he had purchased a 3 session package. We used the process the first session. He came back. He'd bumped his second session out. He was supposed to come back within a week, and I think he ended up coming back like 3 weeks later. And so I said, "So how are things going?" And he started talking about stuff, no mention of work. And I'm like, "What
Oh.
happened? Did he quit? What's the
Yeah.
deal here?" And so finally I said, "Okay, so tell me how work has been. What's happening?" And I said, "What's happening with the throwing up along the highway?" "Oh, that. It stopped after that first session."
Yeah. Like, oh,
They
yeah.
do that though. But, it's kind of
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm not experiencing it anymore." So it's a non-event,
Mhm.
right? Anxiety, same kind of thing. If your anxiety was a 10 and you're ready to jump out of your skin and run screaming down the road, and then we bring it down to a level that it's very manageable. Maybe it's not gone, but maybe it's very manageable. It kind of becomes a non-event. And so feel like part
Yeah.
of my job is to point out to people, okay, look at the progress you're making.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, because people can
Of
be kind of
course,
blasé about it.
something you mentioned in that conversation was you gave that person a tool they could use today instead of let's go back to when you were 4 years old potty training and I know that there are some places that's important, but I think and you feel free to reject what I'm about to say is I think some people it's like now what can I do going forward? I don't want to have to
Yes.
go back to all that
Well,
pain and
and talking about our divine right timing and divine right order
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
I believe that when you have a good practitioner, all roads are going to lead to Rome. If that's where we need to get to, if the 4-year-old potty training trauma is where we need to get to, we'll go there. We'll do
I
the
bet.
work.
Uh-huh.
And and allowing the process to work for you, trusting that we're on this journey together, and wherever it needs to take us, it will take us. And I've gotten really good because I was really good at knowing how to skirt around stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, we're
sure.
getting a little close there. I'm getting uncomfortable. And then I will gently say, "We've kind of moved away from that point where you were getting uncomfortable. Let's go back there. Let's see what we can
Yeah.
do with that."
Mhm. And I think oftentimes things that are brought in coaching sessions are the ones that people have some sense of awfulness about or
Yeah.
sad,
Shame.
guilt or shame or those pieces. And
Mhm.
even things you wouldn't tell a good friend or even things you wouldn't tell your priest or whomever your
Mhm.
confidant
Mhm.
is. One of the things I believe too with coaching, non-judgmental. I mean, it is what it is.
No.
I'm not here to judge you because
And you're
just
not going to
not.
tell us anything we haven't heard before. I don't care how weird, bizarre, whatever you think it is. Know that we've probably heard it all.
Yeah. And I think and I know this about you because the offering people their humanity
Oh, yeah.
to And I think we're missing that a lot in our society. You can go back to some of our other conversations when we've talked about that. But I think right now, with the epidemic of loneliness, with COVID
Mhm.
driving everybody into themselves and not wanting to give and do and all that, when
With all
when
the
we can
us versus them.
all of the thing, and for sure. And those of you who have Thanksgiving coming up, go back to our very first conversations.
Ah, yes.
And if you need a little boost to get you through Thanksgiving, get a hold of one of us. We'll help you with that. But I believe that coaching, I think, and again, therapy has its place, and it is a I don't want to. I want to say, like, institutionalized kind of a thing. It's like medicine. Like I'm come from my nursing practice. Like in nursing, there's prescribed. It's structured and
Here's
all of
how
that.
we do it. We use medications off label, whatever the hell, you know?
Yeah, all
Yeah.
of that. And I think coaching, to me, it's more of this unfolding and this opening kind of a thing to get to the person, to be able to see what's happening and to
Mhm.
feel things they probably haven't felt for a really long time, because it's
No.
like we go into that self-armored
Protective mode.
protection.
Protective
Yeah.
mode, yeah.
So
The
so
unfortunate thing about that is a lot of the things that we do to protect ourselves actually hurt us.
oh, it for sure. So sure. So if somebody's looking for a coach, and they're looking for you, kind of talk about sort of your structure or how it works, or just what might invite them into coaching with you.
Absolutely. So I'm a firm believer that when we meet somebody, whether it's face to face or it's on video like this, I do my sessions with Zoom. Um, when you can connect with somebody and talk to somebody and ask some questions and answer some questions, your gut kind of tells you, yeah, I can work with this person, or oh no, not going anywhere near that person with 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
So I do a 20-minute discovery call that's free.
Mhm.
So if someone wants to test drive and see, does this feel like it's a good fit or not? And don't worry if you say either, I don't think I'm ready yet, or I don't think you're a good fit for me. I will not feel
Oh,
rejected at all.
you'd
At
rather
all.
know that at the beginning versus get
Yes.
weeks down the road. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're doing us
Yeah.
both a favor if you say,
Yeah.
I just don't think we're a good fit. And in fact, I've also been known to refer people. Like if I don't
Yeah.
feel like it's a good fit, I'll give them the names of some of my coaching friends who I think would be a better fit for them.
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
everybody's going to work well together.
Mhm.
So we do this 20-minute coaching call. It's a discovery call, and you've answered 4 or 5 questions on a little questionnaire. And I ask you questions about that. And it's just an opportunity for you to get to know me and me to get to know you. And I talk about what would I propose to do with you as a coaching client so that you kind of have a sense of how I'm framing things up and what I think is needed. If someone and I oftentimes hear very jaded people saying things like, "Well, you're going to try to get as much money out of me as
Mhm.
possible." That doesn't serve you and it doesn't serve
No.
me. If I think
No.
we can do what we need to do in 3 sessions, we're going to do 3 sessions. If I think it's going to
Sure.
take 8 sessions, we'll do 8 sessions. I have
Mhm.
some people who've been working with me for decades.
Yeah.
And if if what it takes to keep someone on their path is a once a month 1 hour Zoom call,
Yeah.
that's
Well
fabulous. And I'll give you
well
my
worth it.
story with that. I'll give you my story
Yes.
with that. So
Yes.
I picked up a client. This was at the end of my psychotherapy career. One of my best friends was retiring, and so she gave me this client. This client she was in her 60s at that point, I think, and she had been in the mental health system since she was 14.
Oof.
She had been
Oof.
hospitalized repeatedly every
Yeah.
year. She was what some people derogatorily called a frequent flyer at the
Yeah.
local mental health hospital.
I hated that when they called
And
people
what
in the ER that.
I
Yeah.
hate that.
Hate it.
And so when this therapist handed her over to me, she said, "I hate to say this, but it's likely she's going to kill herself on your watch."
Oh, oh my
And
golly.
yeah,
That's
great way to
that hurt.
start, right?
Oh, that hurt my heart. Just
Yep.
you said that.
In the course of the I mean,
Mm.
I think I treated her for over 2 decades. We had a 14-year run with no hospitalizations.
Wow. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when she did have to go back in the hospital, she had a physical injury. And oftentimes when people have a physical injury, it blows their mental health stuff out of the
Oh,
water again.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So she had to go back in, but it was a very brief stay and got her feet back under her and she came out again. I mean, change is possible. Healing is possible. Don't ever write someone off. Don't
Yeah.
write yourself
Yeah.
off. Please don't write yourself
E-
off.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, then on that same note, you had a positive, just recently I had a not positive experience with a coach and it was not going well. And I paid a bunch of money. And I'm like, this is just not doing what's supposed to happen. And with Bonnie's help and Leslie's help and everybody's help, it's like, this isn't about me. This isn't
Mm-mm.
working. And it's okay to
No,
say, no, this isn't working for us, kind of a thing. But
I'm
then,
done.
the people pleaser in me is like, I s- we still have issues that we're resolving as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
And one of the jokes is that we're only a couple of steps ahead of the
it's
people that we're coaching.
amen. 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 So if somebody wants to work with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Well,
What's the
right now, actually,
Mhm.
every year I do 2 discount periods on my coaching packages just because a lot of people, that's their number one thing. How much is this going to cost me? And so I
Yeah.
do some discounts twice a year just so that people can test drive it and see what is it like? So I have a
Yeah.
3-session coaching package and an 8-session coaching package. I'm doing Black Friday specials right now. They run through midnight on Black Friday. You can sign up. You don't have to use them right away. You
Oh,
just
yeah.
need to purchase them.
Yeah.
So they can find that on my Facebook page, my business page, which is Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum Empowerment Coaching. Um, they can go to my website, which is empowermentandpurpose.com. And then it's under the events tab is where the sale is. Um, and then we just do the 20-minute Zoom call and get to know each other and see what you think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my ideal client is someone who's been bullied. So we all have certain groups. I studied bullying for my doctoral degree, and I've come up and I have a process to help people resist and recover from bullying. And so, and for me to work with me, there's you can take my COBUMS quiz, compassion, fatigue, burnout, moral injury, and stress, and then have a recovery call while we go over your quiz. Or if bullying has been part of your issue, because we want to get beyond bullying, I have a link where you can tell me your bullying story, and then we kind of process that. And then I have a three session and a 6 session package that we can offer. And all of that information, our dear sweet Morgan will put in the show notes, for us. Um,
Yes,
but I think for me, and I don't want you could say for yourself, but I want people to live their best life, to get up,
absolutely.
raise their kids, drink their coffee,
Look
enjoy, look at the
forward to things.
look forward
Yes.
to things. Now, knowing that there are these highs and lows, and we've
Right.
both been through many of them, but having that sense of who you are and that you matter. And I think oftentimes many of the conversations that we have and all, we lose it somehow. There's a lot of different ways. But again, my hope is for you to feel really good about yourself.
Yes. And I would say that the bulk of the people that I'm working with are women of a certain age. And that many of us were taught things that have not served us well, like being Midwest nice. And um, that there comes a point where we need to do some of our own work so that if we've been the doormat, we are no
Hmm.
longer the doormat. I had one
Yeah.
client who told me,
Yeah.
you bitchified me. And I
I
said, well,
love that.
that's
I
one
remember
way to
that.
look at it. But it's basically
Yeah.
knowing where your boundaries are and not allowing people to cross them.
Hmm.
Speaking your truth. Right now, I think there's a huge movement of people beginning to speak their truth. I'm not okay
Hmm.
with this. Speaking when something isn't, and expanding I think the reason we have so much in our face right now, that is of the us versus them ilk, and the pointing of fingers at each other and all that stuff, is because we are meant to see that it's neither end of the continuum that
Yeah.
works, and this thing will kind of collapse in on itself,
Didn't it? Yeah.
and we're going to get to the point where we have much more expansive consciousness.
Hmm.
It's a we. It's not an
Yeah.
us or a them, it's a we.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So anything else you want to tell our guests here on our call today?
I guess the thing that I would say, my one of my old coaches would say, okay, if you had the world stage for 5 minutes, what
Yes.
would you want to say?
Yeah.
What I want to say is there's always hope. I don't
Yeah.
care how far down in the mud you feel like you've dug yourself, there's always hope. Whether it's
Mm,
financial
mm,
debt, whether it's crappy health, whether it's, conflicting relationships, whatever it is, there's always room to go up. Always.
yes. Couldn't say it better. I
Well,
couldn't
good.
say it. I couldn't say it any better. Well, we thank you for being with us today,
Yes.
learning a bit more about who we are, coaching, what coaching looks like, what it might be
What
right
what
for
what we
you,
do? Mhm.
all the things, how to get a hold of us, how to get a hold
Yes.
of us. And are we going to see everybody before Thanksgiving? I'm not sure. Let's
I don't
see.
know.
What's 2 weeks from today? Anyhow, happy season, whatever season
Yes.
you come
Yes.
across.
And
And we're
pick out the
glad.
little things in the season that you do enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. Kennedy was making a Thanksgiving plate out of Play-Doh today. So little,
Aha.
I have a
Yes.
4-year-old grandbaby.
Yes.
So,
The
and
leaves falling down,
yeah, yeah, it doesn't have
what
to,
brings you
it
joy?
doesn't have to be a big thing.
No.
But thank you for being with us, everybody. We'll see you in a couple
Yes.
weeks. Mwah.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.